10 Steps to Becoming a Better Person. Today, we'll look at 10 rules to follow in order to achieve constant personal growth. Number 1. Don't make excuses. Frankly, no one cares about your excuses. Of course, a stroke of bad luck can happen from time to time, but avoid being the kind of person who makes excuse after excuse to justify every little failure, because by doing so, you'll be regarded as a loser. Remember, to err is human. The important thing is to learn from your defeats in order to achieve better results in the future. Firstly, it's important to understand what you did wrong and look for ways to improve. Secondly, you have to prepare an action plan to understand how best to implement these improvements. Third, you have to work hard to achieve your goals. You won't achieve them overnight, and being patient and persistent is the key. By following this approach, you'll not only improve your performance, but people will see you as a humble and determined person, and they'll respect you much more. To quote a famous saying, a winner always finds a way. A loser always finds an excuse. Number 2. Be positive and don't hold grudges. Controlling our anger is often not easy, and very often we allow ourselves to be influenced by our emotional state when we have to make important decisions, and we risk making irrational choices. Being constantly angry at everything and everyone does not help to solve problems, it just multiplies them. We all make mistakes in the course of our lives, but not everyone knows how to forgive. The strength of a person can be determined by the kinds of things that make them angry. Holding grudges, especially over petty things, is characteristic of weak and insecure people. Keep a positive attitude, and before you draw conclusions, always put yourself in the other person's shoes and ask yourself what you would have done in their place in that particular situation. Number 3. Avoid negative people. Jim Rohn, the famous American entrepreneur and author, said, "You're the average of the 5 people you spend most of your time with." This means that in terms of mental attitude, you're the average of the beliefs, values, and behaviors of the system you belong to. The 5 people you have the closest relationship with. Your ideas, beliefs, and opinions are not actually completely your own. They're somewhat influenced by what you hear every day from those closest to you. Of course, it must be said that we often find ourselves surrounded by certain people not by our own choice, such as our closest family members, whom we do not choose, and our work colleagues. However, where we do have control, such as in the friendships we make, we should remove negative people from our lives completely and surround ourselves with positive people instead. This does not mean abandoning a friend who's going through a negative period, of course, which would clearly be wrong, but rather just in normal situations, to accurately choose who to spend our time with, which is limited and the most precious thing we have. Number 4. Become a good listener. You know the kind of person who talks all the time, thinks they know everything about every subject, doesn't listen to other people's points of view, and always wants to have the last word? Well, if your goal is to attract dislikes and be seen as an annoying, self-centered person, this is definitely a good approach. As a rule, most people like to talk about themselves, but if everyone talked and no one listened, the conversations would be reduced to trash talk. Therefore, it's important to be able to listen, ask the right questions, and show genuine interest in the other person. I repeat, genuine. It should not be a forced interest, since in most cases it was our choice to spend time with this person rather than doing something else. Knowing how to listen also means knowing how to show empathy, putting yourself in the other person's shoes, and trying to understand why they've said certain things or carried out specific actions. Avoid judging and avoid giving advice unless you've been explicitly asked for it. Many people simply want to be listened to and are not looking for advice, which in most cases would not be appreciated or followed, and could cause friction and frustration for both you and the other person. Moreover, you'll often not have a complete picture or be knowledgeable enough about a topic to be able to give advice, in which case you risk being inappropriate, and you don't want to come across as the kind of person who talks without knowledge of the facts. I would also add that less mature people are often not very flexible mentally, and even if your advice is good, it's likely that their inability to receive any criticism, even if it's constructive, will make them feel defensive, and I'd say stupidly, hurt their pride. In short, if a person wants your opinion, they'll ask for it. Number 5. Be honest and direct. How would you feel if you found out that a loved one or friend had lied to you? Not so good, I guess. Being honest and straightforward nowadays is not easy, especially when many acquaintances are very superficial and first impressions are extremely important in order to leave a good impression. Having said that, we have to understand that life is not a popularity contest. We don't have to please everyone, and as I said before, the quality of the people we decide to spend our time with is much more important than the quantity. Maybe when you're in your teenage years, it is nice to consider having a lot of friends, but how many of them can really be defined as friends? As the years go by, it's in human nature to become much more selective with friendships, and the opinions of people we don't really care about become more irrelevant. The last thing you want to do is surround yourself with fake people, and in turn, you want to be the first person not to be seen as such. Telling the truth can often cause friction and conflict, but in the long run, genuine friends will understand your good intentions and appreciate you more. Number 6. Live with a mentality open to change. It's very simple. If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll continue to get the results you've always gotten. To become a better person, you have to be willing to change. Changing for the better is the only way to grow, and those who are not willing to engage in constructive self-criticism and challenge themselves will never achieve the best version of themselves. In 1859, Darwin wrote the theory of the evolution of species, from which we can extract the famous quote, "Those who survive are not the strongest nor the most intelligent, but the most open to change." Number 7. Be polite and respectful. As trivial as this may sound nowadays, it's not so easy to find people who are polite and respectful of each other's time, thoughts, ideas, lifestyle, work, and many other things. With the growth of social networks and digital communication, there's been an exponential increase in the number of so-called haters, also known as keyboard warriors, who hide behind a screen and release their anger and frustration by writing things they would never have the courage to say in person. These individuals are often very ignorant and are incapable of elaborating a sensible and rational conversation, and their only way of communicating is to rudely offend others. Avoid behaving like this, both online and in real life. If you do not agree with the ideas of others, you can certainly disagree, but do so politely. After all, you may not necessarily be right. Number 8. Constantly try to improve yourself and be patient. To think that once you've finished school you'll never have to study again is not only wrong, but extremely naive. In a hyper-competitive world, the only way to succeed is to remain humble and treat life as a continuous process of studying and developing. Remember that nobody owes you anything. The achievement of certain goals depends solely on you and the quality of your work, as well as your perseverance. Don't be the type of person who has a million ideas, but when it comes to the action plan, you abandon everything before you even start or within a short period of time. If you want to succeed, you have to be prepared to face numerous failures. If someone never fails, it's because they don't push the bar high enough and prefer to live in comfortable mediocrity. Stay patient and the results will come. An empire is not built in a day. Number 9. Take care of yourself. When we talk about taking care of your body, there are 3 fundamental aspects that we need to focus on. Neglect just one and you won't get the best results. First of all, try to eat a healthy and balanced diet, which consists of the right intake of proteins, carbohydrates, and fats, and avoid polluting your body with too much sugar and saturated fats. It's an important first step towards a healthy body. Not only will you feel better about yourself by reducing the risk of getting sick due to malnutrition, but you'll also look better. This obviously doesn't mean that you have to deprive yourself of quote-unquote tasty foods altogether. Eating a pizza or a dessert every now and then won't be a disaster, but the important thing is to do it in moderation and not make it a lifestyle. Try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Depriving yourself of proper sleep could lead to serious physical problems in the long term. Furthermore, it'll be very difficult to function at our best during the day if we're tired. As a rule, 7 to 8 hours of sleep per night is ideal for an adult. But obviously, the requirements vary from person to person, and each of us may need more or less rest than others. Last but certainly not least, exercise at least 3 times a week. If right now you're thinking, "I don't have time," please go back to the first point of this video, don't make excuses. A week has 168 hours, and anyone who is serious about living well will always find at least 3 to 4 hours to set aside for the physical activity of their choice. Not only will exercising make you feel better physically, but you'll also become much more mentally productive. And when you're having a bad day and want to skip your scheduled workout, remember that even the great Muhammad Ali once said, "I hated every moment of training, but I said don't give up. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." Number 10. Show gratitude. Be grateful for what you have, especially the little things. There are countries in the world where people have no clean water to drink, no food to eat, no basic necessities, which are things we all often take for granted. Appreciate what others do for you. Always remember, Nobody owes you anything. What others do for you, the time they give you, and the attention they give you, they might as well not do it at all. Often a simple thank you can make a huge difference. Have you ever carefully and lovingly chosen a gift for a loved one only to be disappointed by their reaction when they receive it? Or have you ever made a great sacrifice to help someone and not even received a simple thank you in return? Well, don't be that person. So now I have a question for you. Which of the 10 points mentioned in this video do you think you need to improve on the most, and which of them have been part of your lifestyle for a long time? If you enjoyed this video, please let us know by leaving a comment below. And if you enjoyed the video, I'd ask you to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, turn on the notification bell. Thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.